Brian Lara used pot plants to work on his placement. John Wright glued his glove to his bat. Sachin Tendulkar dug up practice pitches. Tatenda Taibu cut the top off his bat. Claire Taylor used a hockey grip. Steve Smith was from tennis. Dean Jones would call phantom runs. And Victor Trumper turned the nets into a war zone to survive. The best batters in the world do whatever they have to make runs. We have told their stories in our new book, The Art of Batting.
Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest episode of the Footmarks podcast. I'm Behram Qazi, who you can find at DefMango on Twitter. And with me, as always, is Jarrod Kimber, who you can find literally everywhere. And the title for this particular episode of the Footmarks podcast, I'm proud of this one, I came up with it, is Analyzing Vaibhav Suryavan-shi. And I think it's apt, Jarrod, because he is a bit of a freak of nature, right? 14 years of age on paper, goes on to score his maiden 50-plus score in the IPL, gets to 50 of 17 deliveries, then goes on to score his maiden ton as well of 35 deliveries, which happens to be the second fastest IPL century ever. And the fact that he's 14 on paper, it's unfathomable for me, almost. And it really is unlike anything we've ever seen in cricket, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose is the Shahid Afridi ODI back in Kenya. Was it Kenya? Nairobi? I can't remember.
It was Kenya. And of course, that's the first thing that springs to mind. Afridi's 37 ball ton versus Sri Lanka. But then Afridi was also 16 on paper. And I mean, we know that he wasn't actually 16, so there is a bit of an age disparity, right? And Vaibhav visibly looks younger than that Afridi.
Yeah, well, I mean, we now think that Afridi was probably 2021 then, right? And was listed on the screen at 2021. But if you go back and you read everything at the time, it was still 16-year-old Pakistani scores fastest 100 in ODI history, right? And everyone was just as excited. The difference was that it was a series in Kenya, which I'm sure was being watched a lot in Sri Lanka and Pakistan and a little bit in India, but wasn't really being watched all that much in the rest of the world. Those series were partly for tourism and everything else, right? Like it was a really, it was a really weird thing. It's a shame that Kenya have dropped off the map, but the players loved going over there and playing in those series. This is the IPL. Everyone's watching. Everyone's talking about it. I got a message from a mate who I don't think he's ever messaged me about the IPL in his life, right? And he sends me a message the other day and he's basically like, I feel like I've done nothing with my life. I keep looking at my kids and thinking to myself that they are complete failures now, right? Like it just makes you think differently about everything, right? And it doesn't matter to me.
Dad? Is he Desi?
No.
Oh, interesting, because that is a very brown dad response.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. I think it's turned the white dads into brown dads. Do you know what I mean? Like it really has impacted people far outside. I've got so many messages from people that aren't really IPL fans who want to know more and, have been asking. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to do this podcast, because it's a fascinating innings, all things considered. And then you've got the other side. Me and Robbie did a podcast, a week earlier. We were like, look, we're dads. We're a little bit concerned about, a child. I don't want to say being exploited because it's the wrong way of putting it, but possibly being exploited, being put in a position of potentially struggling with the fame, the adulation. And like in sport, we generally pick people when they're ready to perform. We don't always pick them when they're ready to handle what their performances might mean, right?
I mean,
me and Robbie,
he's clearly a prodigy, though, because even in the auction, they picked him up and he was quite spoken of. And I understand your angle with how you expose, a kid to all of that fame and stardom at an early age. But then also, I suppose it's a bit of a safety hazard as well. But he was facing like red-hot Jofra Archer in the nets, right? Like that was also true.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's probably, and I've been thinking about this a lot recently, you've got Rahul Dravid and Kumar Sangakkara, right, working there. When it comes to adults in the room, I don't think there are two people that I would trust much more to make the right decision rather than just, there are some other people like, there's always Australia and Pakistan has always been a little bit, just throw them in there, right? Like there's an element of that, even a little bit in India at times, but certainly we've seen it with Australia and Pakistan, a little bit of, throw them in. If they're real men, they'll work it out. And it's like, but of course, you could also break them as human beings, right? Like, it could go the other way. You could have this incredibly talented player who never makes it because they start too young and they can't handle the pressure. So
also, Just one more thing over here that I feel like it needs to be discussed. A lot of people on the internet are responding to this saying that, oh, this kid isn't 14. But if you look at his baby face and the cheeks and the fact that he's such a simple lad, when he speaks, you can tell that, oh, this is a kid. His voice hasn't entirely matured. He can't be a day over 17 or 16 max, right? Like that is the upper echelon of how old he could potentially be, because he's visibly very, very young. And you know what? Even if he was 25, this would have still been an incredible feat, because he scored the second fastest IPL ton in his third game.
And he's not, and he's not 25, is he? He, as you said, he's probably 16 or 17, right? He's probably, that's his real age. Well, if he was 16 or 17, this would still be a freak of nature event. And if he was 25, it would still be a freak of nature event. And if he was a 30-year-old journeyman who'd never played before and he came in and did this, it would still be a freak of nature event, right?
Yeah.
The fact that he is young obviously adds to the mania around it and the madness around it and everything else. But for me, it is just part of the overall story. Like, when he was drafted, like, a lot of people were asking us about him, I think when we did some of our auction stuff. And I was like, look, I'll worry about him when he plays. I don't expect him to play more than 1 or 2 games this year. Probably be hidden a little bit down the order. Just because I knew that they were high on him. Yeah. And I also kind of thought that Rajasthan they might have some problems with their batting this year. And so, you know, I thought he comes in for a couple of games, they get a taste of it, and this isn't the year for him, and he comes back next year and does everything. He's just, I mean, he obviously he just doesn't care about timetables, this boy, right? Like he just doesn't care about your timetables whether you look at him in first class cricket and now IPL and everything else, scoring his first 100. He's just like, no, I'm ready. Just let me at him.
Even if you dial it back to the very first ball that he faced in his IPL career, he smashed it for 6, right? In the game where he got 30 odd. And the fact that he goes on to score 11 sixes and 7 fours, which adds up to 94 runs, is incredible. So there's 7 runs out of his 101 runs which weren't scored in boundaries. And that is quite flat out insane. And I mean, if we actually go by his age on paper, this kid is younger than the iPhone, WhatsApp, Instagram, Fitbits, the IPL itself. I can't think of many more things right now. But, you know, if you put things into context, like if he actually is 14, was born right at the moment when Dhoni hit that winning 6 at the Wankhede, right? Yeah. Like, it's crazy. I was in freshman year of university or final year of high school when in the year where he was born. And I mean, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. No. I mean, you don't need to tell everyone, they can see your face. But but yeah.
Just like they can see Vaibhav's face.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's... Even if he's 16 or 17, a lot of the things that you said are still right? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a ridiculous thing. We've seen teenage prodigies before. Obviously, there's Mbappe and Luka Doncic at the moment. Yes. It's much more common in women's sport, of course.
The one that really springs to mind for me personally, because I think Costa Gudipati, he had kind of tweeted this out, that what other sort of achievement can you think in sport which is similar? And I instantly thought of Maria Sharapova at 17 defeating Serena Williams, peak Serena Williams, at the Wimbledon final all those years ago, right? And that's all I would have thought. And of course, there's Afridi's there as well, there and thereabouts.
Well, how old was Hingis when she started dominating tennis?
Hingis won a Grand Slam at 16, but I don't think she beat peak Serena though, right? Serena was a monster.
Yeah, but I think she'd won a few tournaments when she was around a similar age. Capriati would have won a tournament around a similar age, I would have thought. So it is more common in women's sports, right? Like we see that in women's cricket. We see teenagers come through. It's very rare to see a 24, 25-year-old woman who comes in and then is a star. Whereas we see that in men's cricket all the time. Generally, if you're a star woman, you start playing at, 16, 17, 18. I think Charlotte Edwards, and you'd have to check her age, but I think Charlotte Edwards broke the world record for women when she was still a teenager. I think she was 18, though. I could be wrong. So these things have happened before, right? And
I mean,
obviously,
Naseem Shah, bowling in Australia at 16, and he also looked quite young. Maybe he was like 17, 18, but he looked very, very young. Sachin is there, of course. I can think of Waqar.
Pat Cummins is another one.
Yes. Saklan was introduced quite young.
Yeah, Javed Me and Dad.
Hmm?
And these
True.
are the ones that have worked, of course, but there's plenty of others that have kind of not
Hassan
worked. When
Raza. Do you remember Hassan Raza?
I do remember. I
Pakistan
mean,
cricketer. Also debuted apparently at 14 years of age in Test cricket, I believe.
Ashraful is another one. If
Yes.
you go through, there's a lot of, and you know, I've got the list somewhere, and I was going through it the other day of the people who've made 1,000 runs in their teenage years, right? You would think there would be a lot more great players in that list, but a lot of the players in that list actually don't go on to have great careers, or sometimes don't go on to have careers at all. But you know, Neil Harvey and Sachin Tendulkar are both guys who started as teenagers and absolutely exploded out of the blocks, right? Like Neil Harvey, within the first 2 years of Test cricket, was averaging 60 or something ridiculous, right? Like, you know, it has happened before, so it's not to say that there is nothing to be done there, but anyone will know, you know, we have the same thing with child actors, right? Macaulay Culkin is not the biggest actor in Hollywood, right? And there
His
are many
brother
reasons for
is
that.
more famous at this point via Succession.
Exactly. So you know, it's a tricky world, and I think that's the one thing I wanted everyone to know is, you know, I mean, who's the most recent version of this? Is it Nassim Shah? Probably not, because injuries have maybe slowed him down a little bit. But I was thinking Matt Renshaw. Is Matt Renshaw the most recent version of like Matt Renshaw looked like a kid when he played, right? And he had, and everyone was like, oh, he's, you know, he's got this really good way about him. And I remember seeing him in India, when he was, when he toured, so he must have been what, 2021, because I think he made his debut 20, but he looked like a very immature person, and I happened to be in the cab behind him in Pune, right? And I saw him in the cab, and he looked like a 14-year-old boy in the cab, looking around like, oh my god, this is crazy, look at this country, and you know, and all this sort of stuff. And I was like, he'd already been in the country for a week and a half by that point, like, and he was still acting like that.
How old is Sam Constas?
Yeah, was he 19 as well? 19. So
I think he might have been, right.
yeah, and so you look at Renshaw. We're not when did Renshaw make his debut? That was 2016, I think. I think I was at that. I think I was covering that Test match. So we're 9 years on, and Renshaw's not a Test great, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? He's not even a regular Test player. So we have to also weigh all those things in, that you can be ready at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. But at 25, 26, you're not ready. There's professionalism. People are going to work out. No one knows where to bowl to this kid at the moment, right? Like, they don't know what to bowl or where to bowl to him. And that's all going to change, right?
You know what?
And then the
Just before
expectations
we...
and...
Yeah. Finish your thought, actually.
No, but the last thing I was going to say is they talk about this a lot, and we don't talk about it as much in T20 cricket, but I think it's something we should talk about more, which is second-year blues, right?
True.
Which is,
I mean, look
in
at
American
Jake
sport.
Fraser McGurk.
Yeah,
His second season in
he
the
is the
IPL.
poster child of that, right?
Yeah.
I saw it happen to Tom Banton as well. Finn Allen was another player I saw happen this too. Probably Daryl Brevis and Tristan Stubbs had to go through this, right? Some players never get through it, right? They just never get through that. I remember Brad Hodge made his debut as a teenager for Victoria and made 1,000 runs in Shield cricket. And you can imagine everyone in Australia is like, well, this guy's going to average 50 in Test cricket. Brad Hodge took years to come back. Right, Brad Hodge was actually eventually dropped from the Victorian side, right? Like a bit like what happened to Mike Hussey. He really struggled with being the teenage prodigy. And, you know, look at what a professional Brad Hodge ends up being. He ends up playing till he's about 60. Sorry, Hodgie, but you were about 60, I think, when you retired. Like, he ends up with like almost a 30-year career. But he almost didn't come out of that, right? Damien Martin played young when he was for Australia. We have to be excited that when we see something like this, but we also have to understand the true reality of it. And it's hard. And it's going to be really hard for Vaibhav. The same way it was, we talked about all this for Jaiswal as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, right? I think there's a piece in this in the future, and maybe another Footmarks podcast on the efficacy rate of prodigies, right? Because we see them every now and then in cricket, especially, you know, in Pakistan and Australia, as you said, and even sometimes in India. Vaibhav is kind of like, you know, a prototype of that, and as was Jaiswal. But yes, the media will hound him, all eyes will be on him now, and it'll be tough to like top this, right? 35 ball ton in just your third innings, second fastest IPL 100. So yeah, let's see how that career kind of plays out. But of course, you know, he's got some really good heads in that dressing room in Rahul Dravid and Kumar Sangakkara who could potentially guide him in the right
Sanju
direction.
Sampson.
Yes, also another good
He's
one.
got Jaiswal.
But yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? He's got people around him that are very, very interesting. Like, you know, it's a good position to be in, I think.
If you think about prodigies that worked, you think of Sachin. Throw Afridi in there as well, right? I mean, he worked.
Yeah, yeah.
Saklan was really, really good.
Neil Harvey is another one, right?
Yeah, Neil Harvey's another one.
I would put Pat Cummins.
Mohammad Amir would have been that person had he not gotten banned, right? Yeah, Pat Cummins is there as well.
definitely. I'm trying to think of New Zealand. I wonder what age Richard Hadley started at. I would have thought he was quite young when he made his debut.
Daniel Vittori? Yeah. Vittori
he
looked quite young
18.
in his early days.
Southey was 19, I think, wasn't he?
True.
You know, it's not impossible. You know, there's two ways it goes. Sometimes you're just the right person at the right time and your body is developed and then the sort of professionalism gets on top of you. Sometimes you're picked because...
Waqar Younis is another.
Yeah. There is the famous story of Waqar Younis going to Surrey and the Surrey physio going, what age did we say this guy was? But yeah, no, you're right. So, you know, and we see them from old time cricket as well. Yeah. There's plenty of stories from, you know, the older cricket of people being thrown in. But yeah, it's a fascinating topic really about younger players coming in and when you pick them and how you pick them and the welfare of that. And, you know, if we're going to get into this position, we've already seen it with football and it already happens in cricket, but because cricket's not quite as professional, it's not quite as bad. But there's stuff about like sexual predators, right?
True.
There's stuff about like a 14-year-old being in change rooms with adults. And you have that in club cricket, right? Like, you know, all these sorts of things that come along and there's just normal exploitations, athlete exploitation, right? Like
also
everyone wants to make money off this kid now.
When you're in a country like Pakistan or India, you know, subcontinent country where when you have money and fame, you can also get exposed to, I don't know, a lot of drugs and partying quite easily. And there's no one checking all of that stuff, no one looking over. And it's not like you're going to go into a club and they're going to ID you. They're going to be like, oh, this dude's here. Bring him in.
Exactly. Right? And that's, you follow someone like Drew Barrymore's life story, right? And, you know, her being, you know, exposed to cocaine at a really young age. And the Western kids are usually a little bit more aware of drugs and alcohol in their area. Whereas a lot of the, as you said, a lot of the subcontinental kids kind of go from not being in that environment to suddenly, you know, having it everywhere. And the Western kids, young Western kids don't handle it well. So how would kids from that, you know, and just I mean, in general,
you mentioned Macaulay Culkin, right?
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
a very
fame
good
is
example.
so weird. I think, you know, I think Robbie talked about this when we were talking about Vaibhav the other day, and also, you know, I was talking about like I'm not famous now, but I'm known. You know, I can if I go somewhere, you know, people will come up and chat to me and. You know, on occasion, especially if I'm in, you know, cricket environment and everything else. So I've got that sort of level of that going on. I don't know how I would have handled even that at 18. And I'm a fairly well-adjusted human being, right? All things considered, right? And so doing that as a kid and being ready to smash a six of Prashid Krishna is a very different thing than being ready to handle fame. Like they're not the same. Right. And we have to be careful of all those sorts of things. Anyway, what we really wanted to do was just watch his innings and talk about it.
Yeah. We're going to go ball by ball, all 38 deliveries of Vaibhav's innings, and we are going to talk about it. And here's a fun fact from Rakshit in the private chat, actually. So I might as well bring that up. He says that Vaibhav has hit more sixes in the power play than CSK this season. And that's hilarious because Vaibhav has played 3 games, but he started his account with a 6, right? That's how he initiated his IPL career. But anyway. Let's do this, Jarrod. Play the video and let's go over all 38 deliveries then.
Okay. So before we play the video, do you remember what his first ball was?
In this match?
Yeah.
I was at the gym when he played his first ball.
Oh, so you haven't seen anything?
No, I have seen the entire...
Yeah.
You know,
no, but what I mean is, you didn't... Oh, that's even better. So...
Yeah.
Like, this might be one of the most famous innings in the history of the game. Like, who knows? It might be like Yusuf Pathan and we forget about it in a couple of years. But I don't think it will be. I think it'll be like the Afridi one, right?
Yeah.
I think it will stick around for a while. And I watched it live. I actually watched it with my 10-year-old. He came in and started watching it. In fact, I think the whole family eventually came in and started watching it because I was like, guys, I think everyone's going to need to watch this. So we got to a point where we're watching this and everything else, and I was like, but I couldn't remember the first ball, so I went back on MV Play to have a look at the first ball. The first ball is the most boring first ball that you could have in an innings like this. I'll show it to you now. It's a wide down the leg side.
Oh wow, good job, Siraj. Look at his face, Jarrod. The helmet doesn't fit his face. It's too big for his face.
Don't get me started on his helmet. He really does look like he's borrowed kit. Like, because his shirt as well. Yeah. Have you noticed that his shirt doesn't fit? So just before we get to the second ball, right? So I just said that the first ball's a letdown. All right. Now let's watch Siraj bowl the second ball.
Okay. Oh, another wide.
It's another wide.
Just in the opposite direction.
So he's bowled one down the leg side and one outside off. And I was trying to work out, especially if you're a young player and you want to hit the ball, there must be an element of what's the best way of putting it? You just want to hit the ball, right? Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I just want to feel the ball on the bat and be frustrated. But also, his first two balls, he's had two sighters without having to do anything, right? Like, I don't know if this is good for a kid or bad for a kid, but it's hilarious to me that, you know, the beginning of one of the most iconic innings of all time is poor Mohammad Siraj bowling trash down the leg side and then bowling a wide outside off stump. All right.
Also, let's get to the... maybe it activates you more, right, when there are two wides up front, because you are chasing 210 as well. So, you'll take the free runs, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That's what I was trying to work that out in my head of how that would go. Anyway, two wides. So ball three.
Oh, that's a rip snorter, right?
So back
He's
of a
lucky
length.
to have survived there.
Yeah, back of a length, slanting across him. It takes up. It sort of kicks a bit, doesn't it? It's got good pace on it. You know, Butler takes it up high. It's a beautiful delivery. And then I've paused here. Could you explain how he looks right at the moment?
Right at the moment, Vaibhav is thinking, am I getting another IPL game if that's the sort of stuff I'm going to face?
And also,
can I at least get a new helmet?
Yeah, his helmet's like almost over his eyes.
Yeah.
I saw that. There was a player the other day, and I can't remember who it was. It might have been someone it might have been one of the... it might have been Arya or Prab Simran. I think it was Arya. It was one of the younger batters anyway. I was having a look at the gap between the grill of the helmet and the and the peak of the helmet. Seems to be getting smaller and smaller. Like I understand why, of course, but I was like, and then you look at this and you're just like, how is this guy even seeing through his helmet? Like we've got to, but kids are so used to wearing them, I suppose it's very different. All right, so we have now seen 3 balls of this innings. There's no way you thought this is what the start was going to be, is there?
Yeah, 2 wides and 1 really good delivery by Siraj, which nearly takes Vaibhav's outside edge. Interesting.
And if you go back as well to the wides, both of them moved around a little bit as well. So there was a little bit of movement early on.
Yeah. Here's the fourth delivery. Oh, he goes big, down, up and over Siraj's head for 6. Wow.
And it's a bit sloggy, isn't it?
It is a bit sloggy, but I also like the fact that there's a bit of brash arrogance in there that, hey, you just beat my bat. Let me respond to you in kind, Siraj.
And it's a good ball, like it's top of off stump kind of delivery. And he's not playing straight. He's literally just going, this pitch looks true to me. Like I'm just going to swing through the line. And it's a beautiful hit, even if it isn't a perfect straight arm. Anyway, so here's the next ball.
Next ball
so this one's full outside of stump and almost caught at mid-off. He kind of tries to get under this, hits it straight to mid-off. And is that, see if we can see, is it Prashi Krishna at mid-off?
The fielder? I'm not quite sure.
It looked like
full length delivery though tries to drive that Vaibhav. I'm not sure if that was a catch or a bump ball, Jarrod.
It's just before him, I reckon. But the reason I point out that I think it is Prashi Krishna on that one, and unfortunately the replay we have doesn't quite show it. But we'll get when we have another look, because it certainly looks like a tall fast bowler. I think if you had a batter there, pretty sure.
You're right. I think if you have if you
have a batter in that position, a good fielder, and you would probably need a very good fielder, that's potentially out, isn't it?
Yeah. So what we're looking at over here is 2 wides, one delivery which nearly gets his outside edge. Then he slams one down the ground for 6, and then he nearly holds out to the fielder at long off. But yeah, it's a single instead.
Mid-off, not even long off, right? It's mid-off.
Sorry, mid-off. It is mid-off. My bad.
But it's a fascinating start because I don't remember any of this. And I watched all of this. Do you know what I mean? Because at this stage, everything that we've seen at the moment is normal. There was one big hit. There's a play and miss. There's a big swing. And it's really weird. And I remember I've done this a few times before where you just don't remember any of the details. Anyway, another play and miss is followed.
Yeah, this time I at least like the intention. It was a shorter ball and he tries to go for the uppercut. Misses it though. But here's the interesting bit. He is what, 7 of 4 now?
7 of 4, 2 plays and misses. You can also say he played and missed at the wide as well. But to be honest, I don't know if he would have reached that with the second bat. But he does play at that. So 2 plays and misses. And also he almost spoons the ball up to mid-off. This is why when people get really, really annoyed when you like do proper analysis. And the reason they get really annoyed is they just want you to say that the person who made 100 was great and the person who didn't make 100 was crap. And when you go back through this, like if we were to do this, and maybe we could do it one day on Harmanpreet's innings, right? That's a really good fun one. And it's something now that we have access to MV Play, we can hopefully go back and find these, and we can do more of these kinds of podcasts. So big shout out to them and big thanks to them. But when you go back and you look at it, you just realize how much luck there is. Like on another day, he just picks out mid-off or he gets an edge on one of these 2 deliveries, right? And so that is what happens to a batter on a normal day-by-day basis. Anyway, it was short. It was outside of stump. As you said, he tries to uppercut. He then hits himself in the head with a bat. And his next ball...
Nearly chops on.
Behram's on like a slight delay from his end. And so I see it and then I hear his reaction. But that is the correct reaction. So Behram, what happens there?
He nearly chops on that occasion, but I think it hits his leg, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right.
We'll have to slightly replay because it all happened too quickly. But he's not. He's a little upset with himself as well. Yeah, it does. It does hit his leg.
Yep. So it gets an inside edge. It goes out on the leg side. He has no idea where that ball's gone, right?
No clue. I mean, he is
no idea.
He is kind of struggling versus Siraj, and he is 8 of 6 at this point. That's crazy. Yeah, so and now. Yeah,
so we're in the what? We're in the 3rd over, right? And this is one of the most explosive innings we've ever seen. And our man's on 8 of 6.
Yeah. And this guy goes on to play what? 29 more deliveries to get to 100? And there we go. Expansive. Actually, it's just a single. I thought he might have got a boundary over there. But he goes for that pet shot of his, which is like a kind of a swivel pull. And it's just a single. So he's 9 of 7, after which he finally connects one on the same swivel pull. And that's 6.
So we are in the 4th over, right? Before he hits his 2nd boundary.
Yes.
That's why I love doing stuff like this, because this is not how I remember it at all. I just remember he came out, he smashed everything everywhere. I brought as many humans into the room as I could to show them what was happening. And that was it, right? And then you go back and you're like, no, there's so much more complexity in this. And as you said, it's the same shot twice, right? The first one, he tries to hit it, mishits it. And again, could have been caught at deep backward square. Like, it wasn't that far away from the fielder. It's another mistake that easily could have been caught on another day. And then the next one, he absolutely mullers away, right? You know, Sorry, go.
Yeah, it's Ishant Sharma, of course, but that is his favorite shot, I believe. It's that or either the big, extension of the arms on the offside, where he just goes over long off. But I feel like he's more in control of the pull shot. And it's lovely how... Can you pause the video for a second? I love the fact that he's taking down Ishant Sharma, because this is a guy who is a veteran in the IPL. And I don't know what the age difference might be, but you might fit in 2.5 Vaibhavs to make one Ishant.
Well, I tell you what, no matter what his age is, I'm pretty sure Ishant Sharma was playing international cricket before Vaibhav was alive.
Yes, of course he was. Ishant debuted in 2007, I believe, versus Pakistan.
I think so, yeah. I think that's right. I think you're right on that year. I couldn't remember if it was that or 2006. But also, look, and I know he's not the same Ishant Sharma, right? But you are attacking someone with 300 wickets for your country. Yeah.
And someone who peaked in Test cricket later in their life.
Yeah, and so here he is. This is it from that point onwards, right? This is when the innings starts to become what we expected.
Oh, that is one hell of a pickup shot off his legs.
Yep. I mean, you
Another
say off
6.
his legs. That's what the shot is. I reckon that ball's probably on off stump. He's played that kind of shot that Travis Head does. The next one, he's beaten with a slower ball, and again, he could have been caught. He just bunts this up in the air, and he gets the best bounce I've ever seen. Because usually, when the ball just goes over mid-off's head, when it's bunted up in the air, you get 2. And his goes, it just flies away from Siraj and ends up on the boundary. So he gets a cheeky extra boundary there as well. But so just thus far, phenomenal moment.
Thus far, there have been plays and misses. He's gotten lucky with catches 3 times now. Once, to mid-off. This one again to mid-off. He kind of chips this one over mid-off and it bounces away to the boundary quite slowly. And then also that one at deep backward square. So he's had 3 or 4 lucky moments and then he's nailed a couple of 6s at this point, right? And he was 9 off 7 not too long ago. Remember that the kid who scored a ton off 35 balls was 9 off 7. It's important information. All right,
let's go. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Okay, Ishant has been taken down for 6-6-4 in this over by Vaibhav thus far. And here is Ishant once again. 4th delivery. Oh, player to miss. Another one. There you have it.
And I wonder if I reckon the play and miss and the ball before it are both slow balls. So I think they thought that perhaps they could bowl slow balls to this kid. Let's just see if that continues. Next one is on pace, and he tries to swing this away to the leg side, gets a top edge over slip. So again, you start to go through this innings, and you are a little bit more like, oh, okay, not quite as in control as I remembered, and we got another wide as well at this point.
But yeah, the boundary gods were shining bright on Vaibhav this day, right? They were smiling at him. Look, I don't think we see top edge 4s and 6s all the time now in T20 cricket, so I'm not going to pin this on him. If anything, the fact that I've seen this innings actually in a highlight reel as well, he scores that for 3 times. I would pin this on Shubman Gill. Why do you not have a third man or find a third man for Vaibhav Suryavanshi?
So I think in the future, we will see that position for him in a way that we've seen it for Head. And we've seen it for Abhishek Sharma. And there's someone else I'm thinking of as well. Because he's trying to swing with an angled bat across the line. Yeah. And all he needs is a little bit of sideways movement or a little bit of bounce. And it's just going to fly down it's almost like a fly slip, isn't it? It's not even a third man position. And he plays that. I reckon we'll keep watching, but I reckon he gets about 2 or 3 down there. In this 3.
He gets 3 boundaries down there.
Yeah.
I do remember. It's 3 boundaries.
And this is what we were talking about before as well. No one knows where to put the field at the moment, right? This is all happening so quickly to Shubman Gill. Another
wide.
Notice how wide they're bowling to him, right?
Yeah.
And I want to talk about that because you and I have talked about that before. We've noticed Jaiswal, Harry Brook. Oh God, what's the really good Sri Lankan guy who's in this league now? The
Kamindu Mendes.
Kamindu Mendes. All 3 of them, I have noticed that people are bowling really wide to those guys now. This is early on. This might have just been because he's swinging 6s everywhere, but it is noticeable how wide they bowled to him. The 2 things I've noticed so far: the slower balls, right?
Yes.
And how wide they've bowled to him.
Also, Ishant's comeback in this over was pretty good, man. I mean, there's another top edge for 4, right? Same area, third man. Honestly, better captaincy would have gotten Vaibhav's wicket over here, I believe. But also, he goes for what? 6-6-4 wide. So that is 16 runs and then 2 more 4s, right? Goes for 24 runs and only half of the over was terrible. The other half, he actually came back really well.
Yeah. It's a tough sport, isn't it, sometimes? It really is.
It really is.
And also, no one's going to remember that. What are they going to talk about the day that he hit 24 off Ishant Sharma, right? That's what the story is going to be. So that's why I love doing stuff like this.
Anyway.
So Washington Sundar comes on and he bowls a length ball at the top of the stumps and he somehow swivel pulls this for 6. It's a incredible shot.
Can you replay that? Because I don't even think he rocks back entirely, Jarrod. You know? Vaibhav? Yeah, he just it's kind of stand and deliver over there. I'm going to have to see that again because generally you'll see most batters rock back. Yeah, he doesn't. If anything, he comes a bit forward.
He changes his weight, doesn't he? But you're right. He doesn't. His weight is on his back foot, but he hasn't rocked back, if that makes sense. And he ends up pivoting almost like a ballerina around his back foot rather than the sort of traditional thing. And as you said, it's he's almost still at the crease rather than being forward or back, and he was forward at a time. It's an incredible shot. We'll show the rest because the rest are really interesting too. So Washington bowling to him again. This is a little bit straighter, a little bit fuller. And what does he do here? He gets up and under a sweep shot, right? That isn't even really. He's not even ready for a sweep shot, and it's kind of like Rishabh Pant's falling away shot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a swivel slog sweep, but it's the same area. It's that, area between deep square and fine leg. That's where he targets those shots, whether it be versus pace or spin. And that's kind of where you're going to have to plan against this guy in the future, I feel.
Also, the other thing I find really miraculous or amazing about this shot is, I don't care if he's 14, I don't care if he's 16, I don't care if he's 17. Most 27, 28-year-old men against spin are not strong enough to be able to play that shot, falling down, off balance against a slower bowler, and still manage to get that kind of a connection. Like, that's the interesting thing about just how strong he is in his core, because he doesn't look like a stunning athlete he doesn't look like he can do 50 push-ups if you ask him to do push-ups, but he does clearly have a lot of fast twitch muscle fiber and power muscle fiber, whatever those things. I don't know if power muscle fiber is a thing.
His bones aren't entirely developed at this moment, so clearly there must be some muscle, Jarrod, because those are big sixes.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what we would call it in Australia is farm strength. That's what he looks like, right? Like that he has old-fashioned farm strength. And the other guy that I would point to this, and I don't know if you've seen much of him, is Luhan Pretorius.
I haven't seen much of him, no.
So he is, and we're talking about all these younger players. What would he be, 18, 19? He looks like he's got a 13-year-old's face, by the way. He's
got a bit of that chub as well.
Yeah, he might actually look younger than Vaibhav does, all right? Like, it's ridiculous. Yeah. And so... but again, you look at him, he doesn't look like a great natural athlete, but as a power athlete, it just looks natural. Like he's just got farm strength where he can just smack the ball everywhere. All right. So
you don't feed his hip or his legs. That's for sure. And you don't give him, just enough width either. So he can kind of play that shot over long off. That's basically those are the areas where you don't bowl to Vaibhav. Here's Washington again. Oh, that's probably my favorite shot thus far. Inside out, up and over the extra cover.
The interesting thing about that is I'm not sure he timed that, but you're right. It is the best shot he played so far. Like, it is the best proper cricket shot. I mean, I like the hook shot. There was the one hook shot that he nailed was really good as well. And obviously that sort of slog over mid-on early on was really great. But this is the best shot. Inside out, it was a little bit overpitched from Washington on off stump. And he just, as you say, just goes through it properly, over the top, safe as houses.
Can you replay it? I want to kind of focus, in on his feet on that shot. How much did he use his feet? See, he doesn't do that much. Most players across the globe will have a lot of foot movement to play that shot, where he is just like clearing his front leg and kind of going inside out over the covers. And it's a one bounce forward, but still.
Most of his foot movement is to give himself the room to play the shot, isn't it? His feet are... It's almost like a video game where his feet are moved into one position, but the ball's been pitched in the other, but he still just plays the shot. Yeah, and I'm with you. It's a very interesting thing, and one thing he is very quick. In fact, I just want to go back and have a look at that again because you can see it with one of the other shots as well. Just how quick he is for someone who's like he's a big guy, like he's not small, but he's very quick with his. Did I miss a ball then?
No, I think you did.
Yeah, he's very quick with just getting into position with the ball. Now, some of that is because he's seeing the ball in a way that normal human beings are not.
Also,
right?
Where's the dot ball in this? I can see a dot ball, right? I think we might have missed that ball.
Oh, okay. MB Play might not have catalogued every ball. It's very possible.
Just let me take a look. This is the one that's up and over. Yeah. There is a dot ball in there in between that got missed. So that's one that we didn't cover. But yeah, like the fact that he looks, adept versus pace and spin. And as I say that, Rashid Khan nearly pins him LBW.
Yeah, so Rashid Khan, so the first LBW is him trying to play that fall down. What do you call it before? You had a really good name for it. A slog sweep.
Swivel slog sweep, something like that. Swivel
Yeah.
slog sweep, yeah, sure.
So he tries to play that against Rashid Khan, and this was the one that they actually reviewed, and I made quite a bit of money betting on this, Behram, because I was like, "There's no way that ball is pitched on the stumps."
Yeah.
But everyone else was convinced in the world that it had pitched on the stumps. So they reviewed this, and it turns out to be like a millimeter outside. But then you see that's the follow-up delivery again,
True.
which again, he's been a little bit. So maybe when the ball's coming back to him a little bit, he gets a little bit cramped playing that shot. There's not a huge sample size because we haven't seen him bat all that much at the moment. But again, that's what people will start to look at, right? Whether you can pitch the ball in the stumps and straighten it up to him a little bit. But eventually, he gets one off Rashid Khan, then he mishits.
Yeah, so that's also a lucky shot over there versus Rashid. And he's nearly done himself again over here. He's struggling versus Rashid Khan, so of course, quality leg spinner. But then again, Rashid is kind of targeting that leg stump line again versus left-handers, and it's so annoying to me. But either way, that was his quietest over after the first one, Vaibhav's versus Rashid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Rashid really slows him down. I love the pause that you've done here. That, of course, no one can see this video because we're not allowed to show it. But the pause that Behram has done is with the bat in full swing. So he swung the bat up, and his shirt has gone up, and you can just see his belly out the bottom of his shirt. He's literally swinging his own clothes off in this one. But yeah, this is the second over. So this is the over where Prasidh Krishna comes on. So they had to use Rashid Khan and Prasidh Krishna at this point, right? Because
they were
to
forced
pull the game back in. Yeah. And so Prasidh Krishna, who's been bowling spectacularly this year, been their best bowler, been one of the best bowlers in the league, bowls a leg ball outside of stump.
That's his zone. You do not bowl there to Vaibhav Suryavanshi. You don't give him just enough width outside off stump so he can clobber you over long off for 6.
Yep. So as I said before, I wonder if the best places to bowl to him are very, very straight or very, very wide at the moment. But you're right. So Prasidh Krishna around the wicket bowls a slower ball, I reckon, just outside off stump on a length, and he whacks it over long off for 6. It's kind of next to long off. I think his zone is kind of, it's like a wide long off, not quite an extra cover, but I think that's kind of where his zone is, Behram.
Also,
as you said, that perfect shot.
I haven't really seen him much on the offside versus spin when it's slightly good length. So if he can't swivel slog sweep it, can he cut it? That's my question.
Yeah, these are the things we don't know, partly because he's barely faced the ball at this level at the moment, which makes him really hard. That's one of the big advantages you have if you are confident and ready to play in a big game. If people haven't seen you before, they don't know where to bowl to you. And if you go back and have a look at this, you've got balls to third man, you've got balls to sort of that extra cover long off area, and you've got balls to backward square leg. That is where no matter who's bowling to him, the majority of the balls have gone.
Exactly.
At the moment, that is not the hardest thing to plan to. But if he is more, it does have more variability to his game, which he might, right? Like this is one innings, one team bowling to him with one fielding, or a couple of fielding plans in this case. Who knows? But it's, anyway.
Thing is, even when he, plays back foot shots, he doesn't camp on his back foot, right? He kind of still somehow managed to pivot on his front foot. So that's why I'm kind of wondering if he is capable of playing a good cut shot, because you absolutely need to go back foot for that one.
Yeah, and there are question marks, but that's why no one also knows how to bowl to him at the moment, because those questions haven't been answered. So I think, is that another slow ball, do you think, that last one?
Yeah, might have been. And it's another boundary, over third man, a lucky one.
Yep. So you see what I mean? There is an element at the moment. That's the third seamer, isn't it? Whose name is, for some reason, not on the screen.
Yeah, it's not on the screen. Anyway, he's bowled a full toss.
It'll come up. Yeah. But just to go back, we have seen a few times already that those slower balls are top edged, are bunted up in the air and everything. Very interesting to see if teams keep doing that. But as you said, the next ball is a full toss.
And it has been hammered up and over mid-wicket for 6.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a hit-me ball.
I do like that, though, because it's a low full toss, and he still decided to get up and under it. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like a waist-high full toss or a hip-high full toss or knee-high.
Again,
he had to do well.
Clears his front leg to make room for that shot, and then very next ball, he kind of bludgeons the bowler, kind of in that gap between mid-off and covers for 4.
Yep.
So great
So
in the
again,
V as well.
That's that shot that's that zone we keep talking about, though, isn't it? It's that, sort of, and what we're seeing now is players coming through with a shot, and Abhishek Sharma is a perfect example of this, of it's not where you would traditionally put a fielder. If you're going to put someone back, you're probably going to put them a lot straighter, whereas he can still hit it past long off because his actual hit is slightly on an angle, which means that you have to adjust your field and move your long off wider, which opens up the gap straight for him as well. Like it's very, very, it's sorry.
And when he's hitting that shot, Jarrod, it's not like he's going towards the ball. His body is moving in the opposite direction. He's making that kind of room, and then he's just going hammer and tongs at it. And I really find this interesting because Vaibhav has a very open-ish stance, right? Like he's not really closed off. He's not like out of the Sunny G manual of shot making.
I wouldn't say it's closed off. Oh yeah, no, it's his trigger movement. You're right.
Yeah, it is the trigger movement.
No, so he's got a normal stance, a side-on stance, and then his trigger movement is massive, and his foot goes outside, even outside off stump at times. And he catches it up a little bit with his front foot, but not massively. So you're
then
right.
He goes out again.
Open.
Yeah.
But look at the position he's in now. So this isn't just like he's hit this through cover? What did we say? Extra cover, wide long off. But his foot is actually facing his front foot is facing mid wicket, and it's not even fully set on the ground. So that tells me that he has incredible natural core strength, because I don't think a normal human being could hit the ball as hard as he has in the direction that he has from this. So again, we see that sort of that natural, solidness to him. And then, of course, the ball races away. So what is he on at the moment? We got him in his 80s?
Yes, he's on 88 of 33. So he's about to just score 2 sixes, isn't he? And then he'll get to his stun.
So the next ball is what this is, do you know who the bowler is? It's Karim Jannat from Afghanistan, isn't it?
My word. Oh, so that's why we didn't recognize him. And also, why is Karim Jannat bowling an over in the IPL? Why is Karim Jannat in the IPL?
I remember when he was picked before the game, and I like getting messages from my friends going, "Why has this happened?" Look, he is a very good. I think he is a very good player. I think this is probably a level beyond him as a player. He's an interesting one because he's never done anything in international cricket, right, with the bat. But I don't know if you know this. He averages like 50 in first-class cricket. And I've had lots of people tell me that before, and I'm like, yeah, but he does have to make a run in international cricket as well. And so there's this idea that he can be an all-rounder, but he's to me, do you know what he is? He's a really good associate level player.
I suppose. I mean, he is the cousin of Asghar Afghan as well, I feel. Asghar Stanikzai formerly. That I know, but he's been taken down for 30 runs in a solitary over by a supposedly 14-year-old.
It's not ideal. It's not. Do you know what it is? Do you know what it isn't? It's not a good way to start your career in the IPL.
Basically. Also,
so
this next delivery.
Slogged, what? Yeah. Sorry. Do you want to watch that again?
Yeah. Can we watch that again? It's just really poor areas, by Karim Jannat. You know that he's been whacking the ball over square leg and fine leg and all of that entire region all night, and you've just fed one to him right over there. A slot ball, really.
A slot ball pitching outside leg stump to a bloke who is 80 odd off 30 odd balls. He's probably just going to try and hit this for 6. Like what other option is there? And then, of course, he gets the shortish one from Rashid Khan and just hits it over the boundary. Again, a slightly bigger boundary. And it was a small ground, isn't it? That one, I think.
Yeah.
A slightly bigger boundary in that's caught. But what an incredible innings. Like,
yeah, dude.
Just,
I mean,
absolute.
I think
it's just, the striking in there. And as we said, the sort of the core strength, the ability to just go all in. Like, do you know what we didn't see? Really any half shots. Because he could have gone out all those different times. Maybe an older, more experienced player is like, I don't know if, I've got a couple of edges over the top here. I'll take those bonus runs. And he's just like, no, I'm just going to keep going.
I think his weight transfer whilst playing his shots heavily relies on his clearing of the front leg. I've seen that consistently throughout the innings. So I feel like that's a big feature of his batting. And I just love the fact that he's completed his 100 by slamming Rashid Khan for 6. I know it wasn't his best 6 of the night. It was like a muscled swivel pull for 6. But then again, that was one bowler who was really troubling him, you know, and at least that one over in between, Rashid nearly got him as well. So just to kind of, you know, put that cherry or icing on the cake or whatever to kind of complete his stunt by slamming Rashid for a 6, I think that's just brilliant.
And the other thing I would say is that I've been getting heaps of messages about his age, and I'm sure you have as well. Everyone on social media is getting the message.
Oh, I'm getting a lot of messages right now from either side of the border. The Indians don't want me covering the IPL because I'm Pakistani, and the Pakistanis don't want me covering the IPL because,
You're also Pakistani.
So
yeah.
It's a
so
tricky
you're getting
time
those.
to be me.
Yeah, it is a tricky time to be. But when he takes his helmet off, like, he really does look like a boy again, doesn't he? Like, all
Yeah,
things
I
considered.
mean, I have a 13-year-old nephew, okay? I have nephews and nieces in all different age ranges at this point. But he looks closest in age to my 13-year-old nephew. And I've got one at 17 and one at 19 as well. Right?
Yeah.
As far as nephews are concerned.
I've got a 12-year-old. He doesn't look that different to my 12-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Like, and also, my 12-year-old, and you haven't been here in a year, but he's a big guy, like, you know, big, solid, tall, kind of kid as well. And they look quite similar. Like, I'm more than happy to say he's probably not 14, but I'm also more than happy to say he certainly looks like someone who should be still in high school and not about to leave high school, you know, in the next 5 minutes.
There are no signs of facial hair. You've got the baby cheeks on him, right? The chubby cheeks. Actually, he kind of has Zachariah's hair, Jarrod. Or maybe they just look like Zachariah's hair. Yeah, right now.
Yeah. He does have that. Also, he's got helmet hair.
Yeah.
Let's not have a go at his hair all the way through. So 151 without loss. He's got his 100. He then tries to smash another one down the ground from Rashid Khan. This one's fuller. This one, did you notice that's not his normal shot? And he mishits it again. Just worth noting. It dribbles down to long on, and then he smashes a ball straight to cover from
misses out. That one he misses out on, really. Should have been a 4 in that same region. Goes a bit too square, and he's bowled. Cleaned up.
He's been bowled full and straight. So it is interesting. I think there's some really fun things to have a look at. It's such a short innings to go through, but there's some funny things to have a look at. One is what happens when he doesn't hit a boundary for 2 balls. He gets bowled off the third one.
Yeah.
We talked about, you know, bowling wide to him. We talked about bowling the slow balls to him. You've got your mid off field and all that sort of stuff. It's fascinating to see what will happen next, but. Yeah. It's joyous, right? This is just a joyous thing. And, you know, I put up a short video afterwards. So the day that this happened, I was actually late to another event because I was watching this innings. And I was supposed to be going to Hugh Turbeville's book launch. And Hugh's book is kind of a book about what it's like to be a traditional cricket fan in this era, right? Like, as everything's changing around you and everything. There's a whole chapter about me in the book, by the way, which is a bit weird and freaky. And
flattering.
And so I was sort of going to this event thinking, okay, I've got no problem if you like one format or the other, right? Like, I understand all that. But for me, I think you miss out if you can't open yourself up to a moment like this, because it's a bit like, and I remember the uncles in the old days doing the same thing with Sheed Afridi, going, it's just a one-dayer, it's just in Kenya and all this sort of stuff. And he's just like, this is joyous. This innings was joyous. We've just watched someone just basically put his foot to the floor, swing as hard as he can, as you said, get a bunch of edges over the top of the slips, almost get caught a bunch of times, have all these things happen and just be like, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep, because I don't know any different, right? And, there's the...
Just to add to that, right? The other day, you hadn't joined the knockout studio. So Rakshit was talking to us, and Rakshit was like, yeah, you know what? He has a few holes in his game. And I was like, dude, he's like 14 or 16 tops. Of course he has holes in his game, you know?
Exactly. And there's a great old movie, and I don't think you would have seen it. It's called Being There, right? And Peter Sellers is in it, right? And without wanting to spoil the movie, like, there's a point at which he walks on water in that movie, right? And the idea of the movie is that he walks on water because he's so stupid, right, that he doesn't know that he can't walk on water, right? So any person with a brain would be like, well, I can't walk on water, so I'm not even going to try and walk on water, right? And that's kind of the whole point of that character. And kids who are 14, 15, 16 don't know what they don't know, right?
Yeah.
As I said before, I think there are more senior players, and that might be why Afridi and Vaibhav have managed to do this, right?
True.
There are more senior players who'd be like, whoa, got a couple of edges here. I've played and missed at one. Or Rashid Khan's got me. I'm going to start defending Rashid Khan. Prashid Krishna's on. All right, well, I'll play out his over, and then next over, I'm going to go. He doesn't do that because it doesn't even... he's never had to worry about that stuff before because he's been so much better than everyone he has ever gone up against, right? That in his mind, that's just going to go on forever.
He's the first player, isn't he, who has actually kind of lit up the stage in the IPL and is younger than the IPL. Like, even if he is 16, 17, he is younger than the IPL. And this is new age, modern day T20 batting. It's very non-textbook. Like, none of what he's done over here is textbook. And all of those coaches, batting coaches in the Azad Maidans of Mumbai would actually be kind of whinging in a corner, right? Because he doesn't have the high elbow and all of that fun stuff. But this is where the game is going, right? And this kid must have seen Abhishek Sharma last year and he would be like, yeah, I kind of do that, in my club. So why can't I do that in the IPL? So I'm just going to go for it. And I love the fact that his coach is also Rahul Dravid, right? Like, it's like a great collusion of worlds, if you will.
And I couldn't find because I was on MV Play, I just had the balls. But there is some great footage of Rahul Dravid reacting to this innings. Yeah. Like if you can find it online. So it's absolutely perfect. Anyway, this was just glorious and really interesting. I haven't quite got around to making the full piece on it, but it's for me, it is one of the more enjoyable things that I have seen, and I absolutely loved it. As I said, I don't know how long it lasts, right? I don't know if this is just it, but
I don't know if he can top this, honestly, at least in the near future. But we all remember
if he can top it. Yeah, if he can top it, then that's incredible, right?
Yeah. Then he's actually, destined for greatness. Right now, it's a bit too soon to say. Although he is a prodigy, there's no denying that. But all of these comparisons already with Sachin and whatnot, you guys are jumping the gun over there. Let's just kind of calm down and let's wait to see how this transpires.
Look, I've been really careful. I've been really careful with Jaiswal because I think Jaiswal has that level of talent in him to get to at the very top of cricket, of the best. As someone who has just written a book about the best test batters of all time, and I'm watching Jaiswal during that, I'm like, is he the one that will join this in the future, right? Yeah. But it's really important to note that there are so many things that beset professional athletes. So it is really important that we just enjoy this for what it is, which is a joyous moment of cricket that from my, as I said before, got people who don't even care about T20 cricket or the IPL were still interested in this. And that for me makes it a transcendent moment right across the game. And that's glorious. That's what we want.
It's transcendent is what it is. And all of these people who keep slamming me saying that, India is waging war against Pakistan or whatever. Why are you watching the IPL? A 14-year-old, at least on paper, just scored a 35-ball ton. This is my sport. I am going to be talking about it, right? This is incredible. Really unprecedented in the sense that, he's got all these eyes on him, although I know the Afridi innings exists. But this is insane, right? And the fact that it took that inch-perfect Yorker by Prasidh Krishna to eventually dismiss him tells you that, fortune favors the brave because he had a few lucky moments, but also that it's not like he's a walking wicket either. Like, he is going to be I feel like even his floor would be a good high-intent power play batter. I feel like I can make that claim. He seems to be that sort of player.
Yeah, and as you said before, even if this is all it is, he gave us this, right? Not that many people ever give us a moment like this. And so I just hope he is enjoying himself. Do you know what I mean? I hope he's... Because we saw him cry when he went out in the first innings. Yeah. I hope he feels a little bit more like this is his space now and he can enjoy it because he's going to... Even if he has a great career, even if he ends up as one of the best players of all time, and as we said, a million things could stop that from happening between then and now. Yeah, he's still going to be really remembered for this because it is such a groundbreaking, incredible moment. And you were at the gym, so you missed some of it. I was just lucky enough to be. I was, as I said, I was about to head out, and I was like, I'll just watch Rajasthan bat in the power play. My God, did I see some power play?
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to announce yourself to the cricketing world. So good job, Vaibhav. His parents are really proud of him as well, as we know. And I just love the fact that Jaiswal is the senior pro in this batting partnership, right? Like, he's a kid himself. When I was showing this innings to my mom, right? Because our family also gathered later once it was over. And I was like, this has happened. We need to watch this together, right? And we're watching this. And my mom keeps confusing him for Jaiswal. She's like, oh my God, he's so young. I'm like, Mom, this is not the guy. You know, that's Jaiswal. He's a test cricketer for India. He's established already to a certain degree. And yeah, that goes on to show you just how freakish this was, what we have witnessed.
I love that story because 6 months ago, we were doing videos about telling people not to get too excited over Jaiswal, right? I've just been like, let's settle down, everyone. Let's not put too much expectations on him. And now he's suddenly the elder statesman in this partnership. I mean, life comes at you fast, and this innings came at you even faster.
Honestly. But anyway, it's also funny how before recording this podcast, we were like, we have to kind of stretch this podcast out to 25 minutes. And now it's been an hour. So I think that's a good time to call it, Jarrod.
Oh, no, I mean, we haven't done this before. I've done this kind of podcast once before with Andy Zoltzman back in the day for Brendan McCullum's last innings. And I haven't done it since then. And this is something that we really want to do more, you know, thanks to MV Play that we have the access to do this. It'd be great to go through some great spells, you know, so hopefully for the India-England series, World Test Championship, maybe the England, Zimbabwe, those sorts of things, you know, then Women's World Cup and all that. I think it's a really cool thing. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the historical version of it, but as I said, I would love to go back. Harmanpreet's would be awesome. And, you know, anything where we have the full balls to be able to go through. I think it'd be a really cool thing to be able to have a look at from that. So we'll try and do as many of these podcasts as we can.
I mean, this was my first time and I really enjoyed it. Kind of gave me like a bit of an avenue to do some commentary as well, which I always enjoy.
Maybe next time we should decide which one of us is going to commentate, which one's going to be the co-commentator, because we were both so excited to commentate. We were like,
that's true.
But it was a lot of fun. It was not as much fun as the innings, but the innings was very fun.
I think this was the best way to kind of talk about what Vaibhav has achieved, because we went ball by ball and we also gave you all kinds of context around it and our thoughts as well. So let us know in the comment section, guys, whether or not you enjoyed this sort of podcast, because this is kind of groundbreaking for a Footmarks, because we're kind of watching along, right? And that wraps this episode of the Footmarks podcast up. So just a quick reminder, you can go to goodareas.co and bookmark that webpage, and that can prove to be your one-stop shop for all the fun work that we do as part of this team, whether it be written content, videos, or podcasts. And we'll see you soon enough on another, Crick Picks or Footmarks or live show or Kimapa, right? I'm sure you'll be discussing this at length with Robbie as well, Jarrod. So that'll be fun. Thanks for staying with us for the full hour. That's all for today, folks. Have a good one, and goodbye.
Ross Taylor couldn't see at night or when the clouds were in. Eventually, he had to see an eye specialist who would fix his eyesight. In the 2 years before the change, he still averaged more than 50 in international cricket. The top level of batting talent can basically see in the dark. That is who we are talking about in our new book, The Art of Batting. Head over and order your copy today.